It's not just the CIA. Intelligence agencies, security services the world over have been embroiled in such scandals, have been accused of excesses. It's hard to sift fact from fiction in most cases. In India, one such controversial provision is the AFSPA, the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. It gives the forces special privileges to act effectively in areas perceived to be hostile. What's the problem for such an act to continue, you may ask? After all, it allows the country's forces to maintain peace in troubled parts. But critics say the problem arises when brutal force is used on unarmed civilians on mere suspicion. Protests stretching over decades have led to the government of India repealing this controversial act from one state, the northeastern state of Meghalaya. Here's more.
She has been the face of the long protest. Irom Sharmila, known as the Iron Lady, was on a hunger strike for 16 long years. Her demand was only one: repeal the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. The Manipuri activist may not have succeeded in compelling the Indian government to repeal the act from her home state, but her protest hasn't failed completely. The central government has now agreed to repeal the law from one of India's northeastern states, that is Meghalaya, after 27 years. It's a big victory for the locals who've long been protesting the removal of the controversial act. But why exactly is AFSPA, as it's come to be known, controversial? For one, it was brought into effect by the British to suppress the Quit India movement. The act was imposed on what the government perceived as disturbed areas, and it gave the armed forces special powers to maintain law and order in these areas. The act came into force in several states of the country due to the rising incidents of insurgency. But the locals protested the powers given to the forces under this act. The Armed Forces Special Powers Act allows personnel to fire at anyone acting against the law after giving them a warning, even if it leads to death. The forces can also destroy hideouts, shelter, or training camps from which attacks may be carried out. The Act gives personnel the power to arrest anyone who has committed cognizable offences without a warrant, to enter and search their premises and seize weapons. India's Junior Minister for Home took to Twitter to say, quote, "The revocation of the Armed Forces Special Powers Act by Home Ministry from Assam, Meghalaya and most areas of Arunachal Pradesh is due to significant improvement of security scenario in northeast India in last 4 years." The Home Ministry has also withdrawn the act from 8 out of 16 police stations in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. The order will be in effect from April 1st. AFSPA was meant to enhance the effectiveness of security forces while operating in a hostile environment, but several rights activists over the years have criticized it as too harsh to be used on the country's own civilians. The withdrawal of AFSPA is a twofold victory. From the forces' side, it indicates that insurgency levels have indeed dropped tremendously, and from the view of residents, it reflects the revocation of a law that is often called oppressive. But will this process be carried forward in other states now? Bureau Report, WION.